I'm just looking back now and trying to see where it all stemmed from. I'm one of those who went into my marriage not thinking of forever. I imagine that the premarital counseling would have revealed that in me. Even as we were wedding, as we were speaking those vows, it wasn't like into my heart I'm really speaking those vows and meaning them. I was speaking them because that's what people do when they are getting married, when they are wedding.
Dating in high school was very interesting. I was in a hostel because of the school I went to. I was in a hostel. I think it was also in the boys' hostel. All we did was write each other poems, letters. Then on the weekend I would make a flask of porridge. Can you imagine?
And text him.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Karen Hasahya, and I'm so excited to welcome you to this brand new experience. Here we are called God's healed girls, and we believe that God has healed us, He is healing us, and He will still heal us. For this conversation that we're going to have today, it's a deeply sensitive one, and many people have asked me why God's healed girls. And I would be remiss if I did not start by talking about my own healing journey. And I wanted to do that with someone who has been there for most of it. Recently, I was thinking about when I was born and how old she was then. Because she is my favorite auntie in the whole wide world. She's my mom's youngest sister in their family, the last born. I call her Auntie Apple, and everyone or anyone who knows me knows of Auntie Apple and her existence. So welcome, Auntie Apple.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here for this first episode. And before we go into anything and everything and the depth of the conversation we're about to have, of course, I've done a little bit of an introduction, but I know that there's more to you than the fact that you're my favorite auntie.
That's the key thing.
That's the key thing.
That I'm your favorite auntie.
You're my favorite auntie in the whole world. It's undoubted, undisputed. That is who you are.
Yes.
But we'd like to know more about who you are.
I am a mother, first of all. I am a child of God. I am someone who has walked the ups and downs of this life and come out on top, shining and ready to share my story, so that those who are following the same kind of path would be able to learn from me. So my calling is teaching, actually. So as I come here to share my story, I hope that from my background of teaching, my calling of teaching, what I share will be able to impact others positively.
And when you talk about teaching, interestingly, so many of us are born into families that have a distinct calling and purpose on the family, and ours is actually that of teachers.
Yes, it
And
is.
interestingly, like personally, my parents are actual teachers. Yeah. And we've been thinking about it because many of us branched into different things, but we are all being brought back to the space of teaching somehow.
We ran away, and
yes.
God has brought us
He has
back.
brought us back. And I think what we were running away from was the whole thing of I don't want to go to the university and do education. I don't want to do that. But whatever we did, God has still brought us back to a space
where He created us to be.
Exactly.
And we are happily occupying that space.
That's so amazing. And in light of who you are and the things you've said, we are now going to delve into a deeper journey of the experiences that have brought you back to this place, the place where God intended you to be from day one. And one of the biggest conversations around that is marriage. And so today, why I said at the start that what we were going to focus on is very sensitive is because lately the conversation has begun to open up about marriage, but not just marriage as marriage, but the breaking of marriage. When forever breaks what we thought was going to be forever. And that is the gist of what we're talking about here today. We're going to delve more into that. So, first of all, are you married?
I used to be, but it broke, as you've just said, and that's a subject that many people don't want to talk about.
Yes.
Everybody shies away from it. It happens, and then you're there. No one wants to say what has happened. No one wants to delve into the whys and the hows and the whats. So it becomes like a black blanket is put over it. Okay, it has happened. It has happened.
Yes.
It has gone.
Yes.
They forget that there is a person behind it all
Yes.
that needs to be supported, that needs to talk through it, that
Yes.
needs help of some sort. So yes, I was married, to answer that in a
For how many
long.
years?
I don't count those things.
Okay.
When people ask me, I'm like, when was I married? How long was I married? How far away is it? I don't think through those things. I don't want to go back to the pain of that place.
Yes.
I prefer to look forward, to look where I am and look forward where I am going. My marriage wasn't very long. It was short-lived. As we talk through this issue of marriage and as we go further to delve deeper into it, you haven't actually told us about yourself, who you are, whether you're married or not. We also would want to know about you.
Oh, we had skipped over that so fast. Okay. So yeah, like I said, I'm called Karen Hasahya. I call myself a super creative. I'm a super creative, and that's because I believe God has gifted me with the 5 talents or 5+ talents, and I'm always exploring them in different seasons of my life. And more recently, discovering that I'm actually a teacher, just like you.
Yes.
So I find myself in creative spaces teaching. The performing arts, I find myself teaching young ladies and mentoring teenage girls. I'm a performing artist as well. I sing, I act, I write, I direct, I do all sorts of things. I do all sorts of
Super creative
super
indeed.
creative things. So that's who I am. And when we get back to the subject that we're talking about today, which is marriage, I too was married. And I'm not married anymore. On paper, yes. And we are going to go deeper into that.
Okay.
So I'll throw it back to you, because when we're saying that you're not married anymore, does that mean that you are divorced?
Yes, I went through a divorce process, a painful one, but I chose not to actively be involved in that process of divorce. I was like, I sit here and I watch as my husband then, who is my ex-husband now, went through going to the courts, asking for a formal divorce. In my mind, I was thinking, okay, we stand in front of the judge, we say all sorts of crazy stuff, then what? I was thinking my children, because sometimes when you go there, excuse me, from what I've heard, they can call in the children also to say their part, and I didn't want that. I didn't want the mess. Things have fallen, let them fall. He goes his way, I go my way, without us going through the court battles. This one is saying that, this one is saying this. Everybody is watching to see, what are you saying, what are you... Yeah, so we are formally divorced legally.
You talked about not counting, but there's something that happens in those earlier stages of when things are breaking. For some reason, the numbers seem to matter. And I can't wait for a time when I'll get to where you are, where the numbers don't matter anymore. So I've been separated for 3.5 years. And the reason that almost 3.5 years, but the reason I bring that up is because divorce is a place and separation is also a place. And there's so many people who are divorced, and there's so many people who feel like they're in limbo because they're separated and nothing has been concretized. But yet in life, the life they're living right now feels like a very concrete place that they're experiencing every single day. But before we get into the depth of what that is about, I want to know, what do you think led to your divorce? And I'm not saying the things that happened actively in that time, but when you were younger, the relationships you experienced growing up, what do you think from that time impacted your journey?
As you ask, I'm thinking about the loss of my father when I was 6 years old. They say, those who know science, that girls who lose their dads when they are young, they grow up desiring that kind of father figure. And we tend to look for that father figure in our marriages, looking for that kind of nurturing, that kind of love from your husband. And many times the husband is not able to give you that. They want to relate with you at a different level.
Yes.
So you find emotionally there is a gap, there is something missing which you're not getting. That could be part of the reasons that brought the disengagement in my marriage. But there are other things. As we walk through the marriage journey, again, women, we are very emotional. Men, I don't know, they are practical.
They do what we call compartmentalizing. They have little boxes where they can keep things.
Yes.
So they can put something in a compartment, in a box, cover it for a time and deal with something else. While for us, they say men are like waffles and women are like spaghetti. For a woman, everything, once you both spaghetti together, it's like everything is attached.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in my journey, I believe as I look back, there was an emotional, where my emotions were not being, I don't know the word. There was something I was looking for.
They were not being validated?
Yes, which I was not getting from my husband. And probably he also was looking for something from me, I don't know, which he wasn't getting. So a time came when we got emotionally entangled outside of our marriage. And that complicates things. When that kind of thing happens, your emotions are going away this side.
They're being validated elsewhere.
And his are also being validated elsewhere. Meaning in the house, in the home, you're not really clicking. You're clicking there, he's clicking there, and you can't sustain that kind of relationship for
But
long.
interestingly, many people say there's this word that used to be used a long time ago, where they would say those outside entanglements, here in Kampala, they would refer to them as panados. So, so they would say, if you get a panado outside, then you come home happy, and then the people at home will be happy. So you're saying that didn't work?
That doesn't really, well, maybe for some people it works. But for others, you come home guilty. You come home feeling this is not good. You come home feeling, no, what is going on is not supposed to be going on. That can't bring happiness to you. You may come smiling and saying, yes, 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 but inside of you, you know there is something wrong. There is something not going right. And you can't be happy relating with your husband when you're in that kind of state. Emotional entanglement in marriage is such a big issue. When one person is not getting the emotional feeding that they expect out of the other person, they may go out to get it from somewhere else. And that causes friction between the two, where you find the woman is going out to get emotionally satisfied, and the man is also going out to get emotionally satisfied. So the two of us in a marriage need to understand, what does my spouse require of me in order to be emotionally satisfied, and then take that position to feed them to the extent that they do not need to go out. But also, the going out is not an excuse. Just because you're not getting satisfied from your spouse doesn't give you the latitude to go out seeking for it somewhere. You need to focus in, see what is lacking within the marriage, and be able to step forward and supply it.
But ideally, people would think that that's something that would happen because of your value system,
Yes.
your belief system.
Yes.
So I know you to be a Christian right now, but were you one back then?
I've been a Christian on and off. I became a Christian in my high school. But even then, the kind of Christianity we had then, I can say I am born again, but I wasn't really walking, following Christ, apart from going to the chapel and singing songs and praying. My behaviors, my words, who I was didn't change much. So I was in and out, in and out. I became a stronger Christian when I reached university. And I got involved in Christian Union. I got leadership positions there. Then I was on the straight and narrow. Then after university, I slid back to the old.
Old in and out
Yes,
sort of
in
journey.
and out. So
Yeah.
it's been like that until now.
Okay.
Now I say, yes, I'm strongly rooted in Christ and I'm not wavering. I'm not going anywhere. Yeah.
Okay, so we are now looking at childhood trauma. At the same time, we're looking at your journey of Christianity being on and off.
My growth journey, my family values, my Christian values, my culture, they all impacted how I felt within my marriage. And as I say that, I'm wondering about you, about your own journey and what has impacted you and what you were thinking through as you entered into that separation stage and as you journeyed forward with your marriage.
Okay, the first thing that comes to me, because you mentioned losing your father, and I can say that I have one of the best dads in the world. For me, he's my dad, so he's the best.
Yes.
Genuinely, he is I have a really amazing father. But when we were growing up, we lived in a sort of secluded place. I grew up in schools. So when I was growing up, I grew up in Busoga College, Mwiri. It was on a hill. And when it got to time for me to go to P1, there's no place nearby that I could go. And in those days, people didn't have all the luxury of the cars, the what, everything, to be able to say that
To
maybe
drive you every morning
every
and
morning
pick
to
you
go.
every evening.
Yes, we lived in the school because my parents worked in the school. And so when it came to going to school, I had to go to boarding school. And I went to boarding school at the age of 5.5. And I usually, in some conversations I've had with my mom, your sister, in
Yes.
some of those conversations that we have had, I've always said that I did not get over going to boarding school at that age. Do I understand it? Yes. I extend grace to our parents because I believe that even as I'm a mom right now, we all do our best and we believe that we're doing our best. And that's what they had to do. They had to take me to boarding school, but that affected me greatly. And it created a similar vacuum to what you experienced. It created a desire to be validated, and I'm a naturally extremely deeply sensitive and emotional person.
Yes, you are.
Yes, so I feel like I'm that child who needed a certain type of attention. I needed a certain type of constant reassurance. And I've carried that with me for years. That even now, in this period of trying to work through the things that I have been going through, I still go back to those moments. Like a couple of years ago, I spoke about this and I broke down and I realized that I needed to face it and work on it. So it also created that vacuum, having to be in boarding school from that age through to finishing school. And so I feel like there was a sort of gap there that made me also clamor for that in any relationship I
Yes,
wound up
you
in
are
with
seeking
a man.
something that you
Yes,
missed then.
yes. I was looking for a father of sorts, and all I wanted was reassurance and the validation of what I was feeling. Because at that age, if you're feeling like I can't manage to look after myself, I can't do all this, but everyone is saying you're going to manage
Yeah, but at 5 years,
at
that's a
that
tough
age.
one.
Yeah. And so I remember crying every time I was dropped at school at the beginning of term. Sometimes my parents would know, sometimes they wouldn't know. But I cried every single time till S6.
What?
Yes.
Up
Can you
to
imagine?
S6, you were
Yes.
still feeling that.
Yes.
That's a deep wound.
Yes. And so that's part of the trauma that led me to where I am
And it
today.
carries over. If by senior 6 you are still feeling that, then definitely as you go into marriage, you're still carrying the same kind of feeling.
Because there are things that each of us need. We need to speak to the little girl in us and tell her that what she felt mattered.
Yes.
And yes, it mattered and it didn't turn out the way she hoped, but she can overcome. She can work through it, especially in understanding and extending grace to our parents, knowing that they were doing their very best. On this journey, it's very important that we extend grace to our parents because for some of us, like me, who's a firstborn, I was the first rodeo for my parents. So they were doing the very best. And to this day, they are doing their very best. So I know that many of us, when we are on the journey of healing and going through certain things in marriage, we look back on our parents' marriages and we look back on the life that we lived when they were raising us and the trauma that we have experienced. But it is very, very important on this healing journey to extend grace to our parents. They were doing the best they could with what they had. And if for some reason you're thinking of decentering your parents, which is a common thing that people are doing these days because of some of the experiences they've had, it's important that you understand that forgiving a parent who may have hurt you is for you. It is not necessarily for them, but it will do both you and them a world of good. So let's extend grace to our parents. It wasn't like they woke up one morning and said, "No, I'm going to throw her in boarding school." No, that's not where
They were looking
coming
for
from.
options, and that is what was available at that time. The alternative
Yes.
was for you to sit at home.
Which was not practical.
No.
Yeah, and so when that's a similar wound we share, though it comes from different places. But also on that journey, there were relationships we wound up in. Our parents would never know that we are in a relationship in school.
No. We were girls, a few girls and a few boys, and they would say, now this is your friend, you, this is your friend, you, this is your friend. Although nothing would be going on, but you would be knowing that that's my boyfriend right from that young age.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
But the serious relationships didn't come until university. Although before then there was a guy trying to get me married to him before I finished even senior 6, but I wasn't that much interested in him. So I didn't really relate seriously until I got to university. That's when I first got the good boyfriend. I was a Christian, he was also a Christian. But on my journey, I got a son after senior 6.
Okay.
Wouldn't even call it a relationship. I think still that thing that drives you to look for affirmation, to look for somebody to love you, to look for... There was an older man whom I went with, and I got a son. So that affected me later.
Okay.
As I related with my Christian boyfriend at university, I had this side of me that he didn't know about.
Oh, you didn't tell him?
I didn't know how to tell him.
Oh.
I was like, how do you bring that kind of thing up? And in my life, I didn't have mature women
Yes.
to sit me down and say, this is like this is like this is like this. Our mother never talked to us about relationships at all. My aunties never. There was no one.
It was like taboo, but I don't understand why. I don't know.
And yet it's very, very necessary.
Yes.
So I was there thinking, now, if I tell him, he will run away. Yeah, how do I even tell him? So I decided to walk away because I didn't know how to say.
So you walked away from him because
From
you
him.
had a secret that you were not willing to share?
That I didn't know how to share.
Okay.
So I just walked away.
Um,
Yeah.
because I was about to ask you why you didn't marry that one.
I also think back about that, and I'm like, he's a good Christian. I was a Christian. We would have made a good marriage. If only I had found a way to tell him. And I don't think he would have said, you have what? There are things that we carry around in our lives, things that we are not proud of. For example, you meet somebody, you connect, and you're like, yes, this is somebody I would like to be with for the rest of my life. But then there is something you're carrying behind you. There is baggage that you're not ready or not well prepared to reveal, which you think is critical for that relationship. It happened to me, and I think it could happen to you. The way forward would be to seek somebody else and ask, how can I reveal this aspect of my life to my potential spouse without tearing us apart? Go out and seek advice. Go out to mature Christians or mature couples who have walked the journey, who will be able to advise you on how you can reveal yourself to the person you want to spend the rest of your life with. Because if you do not do that, it may cost you, as it cost me. It may cost you a relationship. It may cost you a future that you would have been happy to have.
Okay.
How about your journey, your own journey? Any?
In high school, I went to an all-girls school from S1 to S4. And then I went to a mixed school for A-level. And in the mixed school, I dated someone, and I'll do this because I don't remember this person ever asking me to officially be anything with them.
Yes.
It was just these things of everyone is teasing you guys about each other because they maybe saw him looking at you a certain way, and and somehow we started to go together, but there was nothing much happening. If anything, when I remember those days, I'm like, wow, dating in high school was very interesting. I was in a hostel because of the school I went to. I was in a hostel. I think it was also in the boys' hostel. All we did was write each other poems, letters. Then on the weekend, I would make a flask of porridge. Can you imagine?
And text him.
I don't know if he remembers.
You will take him porridge.
Yes, the girls would make porridge and put in flasks and take. How is that even? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know either.
So that's all there was to it. And then because there were some young girls who were eyeing him. And I was like, you know what? I can't do this. I don't fight for boys.
No.
I can't. And so I just abandoned that relationship in some interesting, dramatic way. And I remember I had to act. We were in the same music class. and we had to act a play in the drama club, one of those literature plays for school. And he happened to get the lead part, the lead male part, and I got
The lead
the lead
female
female
one.
role. And of course, the school was in an uproar because everyone wanted to watch us because they knew we had broken up, and
How will
it was
it
just
go?
it was just some drama. So I don't feel like that impacted my journey in any way. But I remember that when I got to the university, I don't know at which point, maybe it was in my S6 vacation, I began to have a certain sense of who I truly was. I had been a Christian throughout high school, but there are certain things that didn't click until S6 vac, and I don't know what it was about S6 vacation. But one of the things was I went for Miss Uganda. In my S6 vacation, I went for Miss
I
Uganda.
remember that.
Yes, I went for that pageant, and experiencing the world as a young, 18-year-old girl, and seeing what was happening out there, and then realizing that I needed to find my grounding in my Christian walk and truly understand the Father's love for me. It gave me a certain edge, and I began to feel like I was walking on sunshine. I began to feel like that. And so when I went to university, that was it. And in first year, I had a sort of what we would call, these days they call them besties, but I had a friend, a very close friend, a male friend, and we tried to date for like a month. But when I looked around at what was happening at the university and how the newfound freedom I had to carve out life, the way I wanted, when I looked at that, I decided I was not going to date on campus. And it was almost like a public service announcement. It was an announcement. Everyone knew I'm not going to date on campus, like in our peers. And so for university, I was not seeing
So you walked
anyone.
away from the 1 month?
Yes, I did. But I
Okay.
explained why. I
Okay.
explained why and he thanked me later because I explained to him that I didn't see how we were going to be able to have that, whatever relationship we were going to have, without compromising my faith journey. And he understood that it was a series of events that led us to that point. But he understood it later, and he came to me and thanked me. And he said that I helped him to see life in a different way. So it was probably an indicator for him at that point in his life on the path he needed to take. And he was a Christian, and I was a Christian, raised in a Christian family. But in his vacation, he had had some interesting experiences. So he was trying to find himself. And I felt like, no, this wasn't going to work. But I feel like those are not the relationships that impacted where I wound up. Instead, it was a young man who pursued me during university, waited because I told him that I was not going to date him during university. And I told him to check after, and he made sure to
He
do
came
that.
and checked.
Yes, he was my friend, and he checked, and then he asked me to date him after university. And we dated for a season, for a period of time, where the work I was doing took me away for 6 months out of the country, brought me back for a season, and he asked my father for my hand in marriage officially, and we had a kwanjula. You were there.
I was there. I was very there.
Yes,
I
you were
remember
there.
that journey.
Yeah, so we had a kwanjula. Actually, I was living in your house at
Yes.
that time.
Yes, you were.
Because you've always been for context, my parents have always lived up country, whether it's Ginger, Tororo, wherever. And so in Kampala, Auntie Apo has always been my Kampala mommy. So I was living at your house at that time. And we had that kwanjula, and we thought this was it. I was going to get married. And then we broke up after. He and I broke up 2 months after the kwanjula. And so
How did that feel like? How did it affect you internally?
So that situation actually affected me greatly, but in that time I did not understand how much it had affected me. And the reason that I did not understand that is because in the relationship itself, which went on for about 2 years, prior to the engagement and the quanjula and all that, there had been a bit of tension here and there. There had been entanglements outside of us because I used to travel. Like I said, I would go away 6 months, come back, go away, come back. So in that time, there was a lot that was happening that I did not know was happening. And on my part, I was losing myself because I had had that happy campus freedom life, come out of that and immediately gotten into a very serious relationship. I didn't even know how to be in a relationship. And then as soon as I got into a serious relationship, I had to travel and then deal with long distance. And you couldn't deal with long distance the way you deal with it today because we didn't have WhatsApp.
What's up?
We didn't have
No texting,
yeah,
nothing.
we just had the regular phone.
Phone.
You could send texts, but how long were they? So so in that process, I feel like even with the experiences I was having with work, you know, you've just come out of university and you've gone into work as well. So you're trying to find yourself on so many levels.
Yes.
And then there's this serious relationship that you're having to deal with, and the fact that you have to now consider marriage and life. So when we broke up, we had been through so much in the relationship, and I had cried so much in the relationship that breaking up in that moment was painful, but a relief. And I decided to focus on that. And I remember you one time asking me at home, you actually told me that you were waiting for me to fall apart. And you were wondering why I was not falling apart as like an obvious falling apart. Because sometimes an obvious falling apart helps you.
To pick your pieces and come back
Yes,
together.
and in that moment, I didn't do that. I fell apart in interesting ways. I lost a lot of weight. I wasn't eating, things like that. But I felt like what I had been going through in the relationship was worse than what I was going through after. And I had a great support system. Of course, you were there. My parents were there. They had questions because culturally we needed to resolve things because
Yes.
a
That was
conjugal
a cultural
yes,
marriage
it
already.
was.
It had taken place.
Yes. And so there was that. Then the job I had been doing when I was going to get married required that we either went together or left if your partner didn't want to go. And so what happened with that is now I had no job. The relationship had
Fallen
fallen.
apart.
Culturally, conversations needed to happen, but all parties involved were not on the same page to have these conversations. I've always been a church girl, and the job I was doing was actually at a church. So I've always been a church girl. So even in church, the kind of support that I needed was not
Was
there.
not there. That's unfortunate.
Yes, it was. What I was going through was like a taboo sort of situation.
And sometimes when you're going through that kind of thing, people tend to stay away. There is this curtain that, okay, she has done that. Let her sort herself. When she's ready, she'll come back and we'll move on.
Yes.
And yet it shouldn't be like that.
And I think when they did that at church, a few people tried. For example, they saw you've lost your job. I remember one of my bosses sending someone to me to say, if you want your job back, you can have it. They were trying. But I could, in the state I was in, the emotional state I was in, because we used to work with children, I felt like I could not bring myself back to that place and begin to bleed on people who had not cut me, especially children.
The children.
And so I remember saying no to that. But like, to answer your question, it affected me, but I didn't realize it then. And so a year after that breakup, we had the official annulment, which is a traditional divorce. We had a traditional divorce, but we termed it as an annulment instead, because there had been no consummation of the marriage. So according to the law, if you've not consummated, you can
can
annul.
annul.
And so that was basically just to say it had never happened. Though on ground, like we said,
had.
humanly, it had happened, and I had to deal with the residue of that. But this happened a year after the breakup. That's when we had the annulment. And the reason we were having that was because the other party needed to move on and get married. So I was also very now affected by that and how that news came to me. But also, as a firstborn, I'm a firstborn, I felt like I had disgraced my family. And I felt like I needed
Why did
to.
you feel that you were the one disgracing? How do you unpack that?
As opposed to.
There are some, from the story you're telling, and I was there saying it wasn't you. The circumstances were not triggered by you.
Yes.
So why would you feel the burden of it?
I think I had lived my whole life carrying the burden of having to be an example.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, whether it was my grades, when I was younger, I did very well in school. And I felt like, yeah, that was what I was supposed to do, because then everyone else would do well. When my school was changed when I was around 10 years old, and school became a little bit difficult for me, and I began to feel like I was failing there because I was not doing as well as I used to. So I was carrying that. And now when it came to marriage, I felt like I was doing the right thing. I felt like, as I had finished school, I had gone to university, graduated, and been a very well-behaved girl at campus. I hadn't done what some of my peers were doing. Like in third year, half my class was pregnant. I was like, I had not done that. And now I was bringing a husband at just the right time.
Yes.
A couple of years after university.
It was all good.
Everything was good to me. And to bring that crashing down, I felt like I needed to fix it. And I can't say it was a demand made of me. It was a demand I made of myself.
On yourself.
Yes.
It was you feeling like that.
Yes. My parents had been very gracious to me in that whole process. But I began to feel like if I don't rectify this, then everyone else is going to have problems. And sometimes as parents, we may not say these things, but sometimes you may allude to them without knowing. And so I was like, I have to rectify this. So I just kept hoping someone else would come along who would hear my story and not run away. So anytime a man tried to vibe me, the first thing I would do is tell that story.
Okay.
I was like, I'm putting my cards on the table. If you're running away, you run away. And so eventually when I met a man who did not run away, I was like, okay, this one knows the story. And
has chosen
and
to
this is
stay.
the one. But like I keep going back to you asking me about how it affected me. Like I said, I focused on everything else except healing from what had been a very catastrophic issue. And I carried that into the marriage because I got married a very short time after that. By the time it was a year after the annulment, I was getting married. And I believe firmly that I had no business getting married at that point.
You needed to heal
Yes.
first.
Yeah.
Get back your state of joy. Stand alone.
Yes.
Before you get coupled to somebody else.
But remember, there was the need already. We've talked about the need for validation.
Yes. And the need to make things right, which you had placed on yourself.
Yes. All that. So I carried all that. Met a good man who did not hold my past against me. While everyone would run away, he didn't. And I was like, oh, this person wants to marry me. I even told my parents, there's someone who wants to marry me. And they were like, wow.
Good.
Yeah. So that I think that greatly impacted how I was in marriage. I was so hurt and so broken. And I entered marriage with all that baggage.
Without the healing.
Yes. I had a quandula and a breakup 2 months after that. An annulment a year later, and a year after that, I was getting married. If baggage was a person, that would have been me. And so it's very important that we take time to heal. I didn't know any better. So I went into marriage carrying all that pain and all that baggage. And my encouragement to anyone who is out there is please, please, please do yourself the honor of seeking help and taking time to heal before you get into your next relationship. It is said that we should not bleed on those who did not cut us, and carrying baggage into your next relationship and into the serious union of marriage positions you to be that sort of person. So let's heal.
Healing is very, very crucial. And yet in our system, in our culture, in our religious setting, there doesn't seem to be that support system that helps people who have gone through trauma to heal.
And it's really a big issue because right now we have language. Now with social media and the global village, we have language, we have therapy. We know that we can go to therapy. I've remembered something that happened when I was a teenager in high school. Because of carrying that burden of the firstborn, I was diagnosed with manic depression at a time. And in those days, it was taboo to even say that you have anything to do with mental health challenges. And so that's another thing that I've just realized also impacted me, because I had to pack it away because it wasn't understood. I just had to have a moment where I sat with myself and said, snap out of it. I was taking medicine and everything. I'd been taken to a psychiatrist and all that. But it was I felt like it was such a veil and such a negative thing.
We treat it as a negative thing, it's a cultural thing. I don't know why we do that. We tend to blame the person who is suffering
Experiencing it,
it,
yes.
as if they brought it upon themselves, as if it's their fault. Instead of trying to help them to get out of it, we are like...
and understand why they're succumbing in the
what
first
triggered.
Yes.
We don't do that.
Yes. So I feel like all those things combined led to where I was at. There's a lot I kept packing away. As a child and as a young woman, just packing it all away. But you see, marriage brings all those things out.
Yes.
I don't know how it does that.
It does, because you're now in a very deep relationship. The Bible says that two become one. So what you have packed becomes part of the other person's life, because yes, you've brought a lot of the man is looking at you. He doesn't know what you have packed behind, what you come carrying, and yet he has to deal with it. Because day to day you are together, you have become one. Who you are is who he is, and who he is who you are.
And all your carried experiences inform who you are in this moment, and he's having to experience that.
Yes.
So sometimes you're snapping at him and it has nothing to do with him.
And he doesn't understand that.
Yes.
Because he doesn't know those packages that you're carrying with you. He hasn't experienced them. You haven't really taken time. You told him the story, this story, but there were other stories that he doesn't know about, that he doesn't know are affecting who you are now.
Yes.
And he has to deal with who you are without understanding the why behind the who.
And he is the same sort of person because he also comes with his own
baggage.
And I think in Christian circles, we have a very big problem when it comes to dating and courtship. Because the church wants to just see two people. Most times they just see two people looking good together. They're like, wow.
Come, let's wed you.
Yes. That's it. Like the depth of these two people that you're bringing together. Have you explored it? And in many of our churches, it hasn't been done.
In all, I think. We have a feeling that the sessions, what do they, marital counseling?
Yes.
I don't know how many sessions we think that's enough. but it just touches the surface. It doesn't go deep, and it needs to go deeper than that, to explore, as you've
Yeah,
said. Where is she coming from? Where is he coming
yes.
from?
I remember we had about 4 different premarital counselings. We had like the church one, then we had some friends paid for us, some special
Singer.
sessions
Okay.
somewhere. We went for, not Senga, but we went for some sessions somewhere. Then I remember we even went to Auntie Theo near Njiye. We
Njiye.
went for those ones. Then we had this accountability couple talking to us. But let me tell you, in spite of all that,
All
nothing
that
prepared me
for
for
marriage.
what marriage was going to truly be. I think people need to seek more avenues to know more about marriage. And in light of that, did you receive premarital counseling?
I can't say that I did. Not from the church, not from parents, not from anybody. I married into a Catholic family. Interestingly, we had one session with a father.
One session?
And with a father. What does a
What does
father
the Reverend
know,
Father know?
know about marriage? We went and sat with the Reverend Father. He talked about marriage. And even then I was like, what does he actually know about marriage? And that's all that we got. So I don't know. There may be churches that are doing well, but there are many more
That are
that are not doing anything. I think they presume that, well, you found each other wherever you found each other, you go and work it out yourselves. So I didn't have any of that preparation at all.
that is not good, because imagine you had zero preparation and you expected to enter this institution and do great in it. How?
Yeah.
It's like you had been set up to fail from day one.
From the beginning, yes.
I know one program that I've actually experienced. It's called Ndoa, and it's here in Uganda, but it came through Mavuno Church from
Okay.
Kenya, and we went to Ndoa.
Okay.
And I thought it was amazing. Why I thought it was amazing is because they had the sessions for those who are already married and trying to figure things out or work through marriages. Most people who would come, some were coming for a refresher, but some were coming because their marriages were in trouble. But they also had the pre-marital class, like those who were preparing to get married. And I heard of so many breakups from that class, those who are not married yet. And so to me, that is a successful program.
Okay.
Because
are you saying people broke up
before getting
when they
married?
realized that,
Yes.
I'm not really ready for that?
Yes.
That's a good one.
That is a very good program.
You don't take the step until you're ready to take it.
Exactly. And so to this day, I've heard of many couples that go for the premarital Ndoa classes and break up because the program delves deep into different aspects of marriage. And so people walk away like from each other because they realize, you know what, this is not going to work. Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that is a really, really great program. But to come back to marriage, and we've said some of the things that we brought into the marriages that made them not work. When did you notice that your marriage was failing?
I'm just looking back now and trying to see where it all stemmed from. I'm one of those who went into my marriage not thinking of forever. I imagine that the premarital counseling would have revealed that in me. Even as we were wedding, as we were speaking those vows, it wasn't like into my heart, I'm really speaking those vows and meaning them. I was speaking them because that's what people do when they are getting married, when they are wedding. It's not like I sat and said, okay, I'm saying forever, in sickness, in health.
So none of that was getting into your heart in depth?
No.
When did this hit you? Did you know when you were doing
No.
it? Okay.
I realized much later, this me now, the strong Christian woman who understands now the failures that I went through then. And I'm like, I wish I had gotten married now.
No.
Not then. Then I had no clue about marriage. The forever thing wasn't there. I was like, if I go there and things, and I think my my ex-husband realized that. It was like I always had my bag packed and ready.
To go.
Yes, if things don't work, I am just going to grab my suitcase and I'm out of
Did
here.
you say it, or did he just
I think he
read it?
read it in my attitude, in how I was responding, in how I was relating. It's like, sikweguya,
Whatever.
whatever. If this doesn't work, there is something else that will work for me. I don't know where that came from. Is it, I don't understand that aspect of me, the roots of it, why I was into something that I was not really ready for, prepared for. Because as you go into marriage, you should go there knowing it is a forever thing.
Yes.
If it happens not to be forever, it's not because you didn't try, it's not because you didn't know. It's things outside of your control triggered that. But that wasn't what it was for me.
So that means that even while you were on that journey already, like, okay, you said the vows, you started the marriage, deep in your heart, you knew, sawa yona, I'm out of here.
Yeah, any time I don't feel like I belong, I will just move away. So I started noticing we were not relating well. I already talked about the emotional entanglements. By then the phones had come. You're seeing messages that are looking strange, that you're questioning.
Yes.
He's also looking at me and questioning stuff. And that started happening, I think, probably 2 years into marriage or something. It was
That was
really
early.
early. It was really early. So the destabilizing factors in the marriage started quite early. And I remember I ran out of that marriage like 2 or 3 times.
Oh.
Grab your bag, something has happened, you're out of there. And then you come back, another year goes by and you're out of there, then you come back. It was quite unstable. It was unstable and there were many factors. And now I look back and I wonder where the support system was. I don't remember anyone at all saying, Apophia, come, tell me.
Did
What
they know?
now if I run out of the marriage and I go?
Where would you go?
I would go to my sister's place.
Okay.
I would go to my sister's place in Kasangati. And that was before her husband died. And they welcomed me very well. Maybe they did and I blocked it. I don't remember anyone ever saying, let's see how to help you.
Do you feel like you had walls, like you were guarded, and because of that, if someone wanted to penetrate and ask, they were afraid to do that?
Probably. I don't know that about me, but maybe somebody looking at me could have seen that. But when I look back, as I journeyed on and I looked back, I kept wondering, where was the support system? Where was the auntie or the big sister or the mother saying, come and talk to me? What is going on? Why are you not stable? Maybe if somebody had done that, I would have realized that you went there when you hadn't thought of forever. Maybe somebody would have triggered that, but it didn't happen.
Because introspection can only go so far. Sometimes you need people to come in. And I think with families, if they feel like they can't do it themselves, they still could have said, let's take you to
Yes,
so
there
and
is so and
so,
so.
this counselor, this reverend, this pastor, like, why, let's take you somewhere. And then they would leave you to figure that out maybe, but when they have made an effort. But sometimes I think that happens with many other things, but not with marriage. And I don't know why.
I don't know why either. When marriage is breaking, when relationships are tearing apart, the society tends to just watch and see. There are very, very few who would come out to intervene, for lack of a better word. And in my case, no one. No one came to talk to me. No one came to ask me what was going on. No one did anything to help heal that marriage.
In our generation, what I've found is we carry ourselves to where the help is. And I don't know if it's because we are more
You are a
exposed or
different kind of breed. For us, I think the walls are there, the walls of culture, the shame also. You're feeling I've lost it, I've failed. You're not looking to go find help. I think for our generation, the help needed to come
to you.
to you
Oh
without you
my.
going to look for it. Maybe I needed to have gone look for it, but I didn't.
You didn't know that you needed to do that. It was not a concept
Yeah.
that you could even put your finger on and say, this is what I can do. But did you want the help at that time?
Probably not. I think I was hardened. Probably the wall you're talking about. Maybe the people who were looking at me were like, this one is not really going to listen to us. I remember my friend, one of my friends, talked a little bit. She would put a pointer there and a pointer there, but not seriously, like sitting you down and saying, now, come, let's talk. Let's talk this through. What is this? What is that? What is that? No.
She was throwing and hoping you catch, and then she was not getting that.
The catching
Yes.
wasn't.
She was not getting enough to work with, I think.
I think so.
But also, your personality and mine are similar. And sometimes we come off as not being approachable. And yet the people who know us are like, but she's this and this and that. And
Yes.
everyone else around is like, but, oh my goodness, like the picture
I
that
get
she...
that a lot.
Yes.
She's a tough one. She's a tough nut.
Yes.
And I look at
And
myself
you're like,
and
where?
I'm like, where is that?
I can be cracked. You're like, I'm so crackable. And
Yes.
they're cracking me. No, I really understand that. And so that means that there was no particular point that you can put your finger on and say this is when it collapsed, because it was collapsing.
Right from the beginning, I should say. It started
Yes.
collapsing right from the beginning because of the attitude and because of the other stuff that came in.
I think for me, I noticed about a year after having my first child, and I can't say, and I think my partner at that time would not even be able to agree with that, because sometimes in marriage, a woman is having a certain experience and a man is oblivious.
Yes.
Because things
Many
seem
times.
okay.
Many times.
Yes.
They don't get the clue.
Oblivious living is the state of many marriages and relationships today, and you'll often hear someone saying the divorce came out of nowhere. There is no such thing. The signs are usually there. Has the care been cut back a bit? Small things that you used to do for each other and you don't feel the need to do them anymore? Have you noticed that your partner used to check on you a certain way, speak to you a certain way, and they no longer do that? It has been known mostly for women that they leave the relationship emotionally even before it happens physically. So it is very important that we watch out for those small signs. If you catch a sign in time, you'll be able to have a chance to save your relationship. So my encouragement to you is watch for those little signs. You just might save your marriage. And that's why some people have been known to say, the divorce came out of nowhere.
No way.
It's mostly men who say,
Yeah.
it came out of nowhere. Everything was going
Doing
well.
well.
Why did she come up with this? And so for me, I noticed early on that there was a problem. I could not put my finger on it, but I felt like the synergy we had at the beginning was being compromised. And interestingly, it was not even by any sort of emotional entanglement that would have come in to ruin anything. I just, my partner used to lean on me for certain things, and now they no longer did.
They stepped away.
Yeah, I can't even call it that.
Were they leaning on somebody else?
Yes,
Did they?
I would say there are some friends who would always, come around who were not necessarily intentionally impacting the marriage negatively. No, because many of these were even guys. They are around. I would say, clingy, and I really wanted my husband's attention. I began to feel like it was being taken away.
They were taking a bit of him which you needed to be with
I don't
him.
even think I needed it. I think I was just broken and seeking attention. And I
Because
was
of your
used,
history.
yes, because of my history, and I was used to a certain amount of attention. So for it to reduce, yet maybe productive things were happening in that time for the family. For me, I wanted attention. I had just had a baby. The baby was young, growing towards moving towards being about a year old. And now when you become a parent, you're a different version of yourself.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know how to deal with myself in that time. And I felt like I just needed attention. And so once that distance began to come in, it just became bigger and bigger and bigger. And so there was a major communication breakdown because I felt like this person was edging away from me and abandoning me. And I cannot explain those moments clearly because many times when I've had conversations with people about the breakdown of my marriage, I've always said that many of the things we were experiencing were fixable. But we allowed for them to pile. If we had looked, a small fox, if you had fixed it, dealt with it at that time, it could have been resolved.
So why is it because you didn't know what to do? You didn't realize what was actually happening?
I feel like I realized what was happening, but my reaction was the problem. Sometimes we have to take time, which I do now. Sometimes we have to take time to calm down and figure things out and think them through. But because I was so desperate for attention, desperate for love, desperate for everything, anytime any small tea for anything happened, I felt like there was a loss of love happening. And that's how many women respond to things. I felt like there was a loss of love. And when I felt like there was a loss of love, I grabbed even more. And in that grabbing, I would grab noisily. As I would be erratic, throw tantrums.
And that pushes
It pushes,
him
yes,
even further
yes,
away.
it pushes the person you're trying to draw even further away. And this conversation is very limited for us to really fully explore the scope of some of these things. But for me, I know that my contribution to the breakdown of marriage and realizing when it broke down was mainly realizing that my reactions to everything that had been going on was not okay. And as such, it created an even wider gap, which after some time I could not live with. And so when did I finally realize? I realized at that time when my son was, he's now 14, when he was about 1. But there was also the Kuguma,
Guma.
the Guma gospel.
That G word.
That Guma gospel came in, and I knew that, yeah, they say after a couple of years, marriage is hard. You've brought in kids, you need to settle into being a mother and all that. And I just said I will stick it through. And maybe around 8 years into the marriage is when I now began to get that attitude that you have talked about. For me, that's when it caught me. Of, but mfachi.
I can go.
Hey, I can go at now. What am I doing here? So that's when that came in. But I remember a friend of mine sitting me down and saying, now that's where we say the support. I believe I've always had a good support system. I knew I could come to you. There's not been a time when I cannot come to you. But I also had friends who were at similar points in their marriages, going through not exactly similar things. But I remember a friend of mine sitting me down and saying, Karen, you're saying you want to go. You're saying you can go anytime. Why haven't you gone? And so we had to have that conversation. And one of the things had been that I had allowed myself to be a kept woman when I was getting married, because I am a creative. I was in a corporate job a bit before I got married, and then I didn't like it, and I asked to not be in that sort of setting anymore. And my partner at the time said, it's okay, you do not have to work in an office. I remember I had started a baking business, and he would see me toil at night, and he's like, how much are you making from this?
Out of all this labor.
Because it's not adding up. And so many of those moments, I believe, were really positive moments for me, but there were also moments that were not as good in that journey. So I had allowed myself to be kept. So when I was having this conversation with my friend, she was like, how are you going to start? The reason you've not left and you have to accept it is that you have nowhere to start.
To start from.
So stop throwing these tantrums and being like, I will go. Where are you going to go? And how are you going to go? And the realization of that kept me there for some more time, until the year when I was turning 40, a few years ago. And that was when I said, I'm turning 40, and my 80-year-old self is going to look back. Is she going to be proud of where my 40-year-old self is? And if I haven't been happy in this place, and I'm not saying marriage is for happiness, because that's not really what it is for. But where I was at, I had been in a dark place for so long. When I felt like my marriage wasn't working for all those years, with all the challenges that were coming up, for me, I idolized marriage so much that if it failed, everything else was failing.
And that's not you alone. Our culture does idolize marriage. When you're out of marriage, before you get in, and as you add on the years, people are looking at you and asking, yeah, where is the guy? When are you getting married?
Yeah.
And when, as a woman, you get out of marriage, they also look at you in a different way. In our culture, marriage brings status.
Yes.
For the woman, I don't know why it doesn't do that for the man, but for the woman, they are looking at you. As a culture, we tend to idolize marriage, and not just the traditional culture, but also in church. It's like a woman who is married has status in society, whereas a woman who is not married has no status, or somebody who is separated and or divorced has lost their status. This shouldn't be the case, because we do not get our status out of marriage. We don't get our status out of being together with a man. We are created individually as people loved of God. So if you feel that society has judged you and has pulled you down, you need to look beyond that and look at the God who created you and see yourself through God's eyes and reach that state of shalom. The state of shalom where you see yourself as a beloved child of God with your status coming from Him rather than from the fact that you have a man by your side.
And so that I idolized it like that as well. First of all, my parents have been married for a very long
For
time.
donkey years.
Yes. Up to this point.
They are still very married.
They are very married. They've been married for over 40 years.
Yes.
They are still
They are
going
still
strong.
there.
And so in my heart of hearts, that's what I had hoped for. And what I was seeing did not look like it was going to lead to that.
To that.
And now I was turning 40 and the questions were just so many. And I had been, like I've said, I had been depressed for years. I had been so depressed at some point that I had started having panic attacks. I don't know. I don't know. I was in a darkness, like a real darkness that many people around me may not have even seen. But those who were closest to me could see like something was really amiss. And I remember there's a time in 2018 you came, because you came with my mom. I remember I had a total nervous breakdown. Totally, like, and I remember you and mom looking at me. I looked like a shell of a person. And you are not understanding like what has happened. That has brought you
to this state,
to this point. And so when I looked at all that, and now I sat with myself, I always say I have meetings with myself. I had a meeting with myself when the year that I was turning 40 began, and I asked myself, if life is to go on like this forever, will I be okay? Or do I hold on to this because of the status it brings, because bananda babatia, what will people say? Because my kids, how is it going to affect them? I have 2 sons, how is it going to affect them? So all those questions for me, it wasn't necessarily a particular moment, it was a culmination of moments, but the key one was that I was turning 40. And I had, at this point when I was turning 40, I had been married for 13 years. And I was asking myself what forever was going to look like from that point. And yeah, so that's what led to a series of events that led to the separation and the point where we are at today. But how did your marriage actually end?
It wasn't a nice ending. I remember as our relationship continued to deteriorate, I moved out of the marital bedroom. I went into my daughter's bedroom. And that's where I stayed for quite some time. I remember the day when I moved out the last time. I was in my room, my daughter's room, and he came. I would lock because I knew what was happening.
And was your daughter in the room with you?
No, at that time they were out. Some of what happened slipped out, but I know that there was this kind of thing. And I ran out. I don't know how he happened to come in. I ran out. And my 2 young children, they were very young. They were there looking at what was going on. I was running and he was running after me. And they were holding on and they were crying and there was all this drama. Until I ran back in and locked. And I had my phone. I called my sister. Said, things are happening here. I need help. And so my sister called a cousin of mine, told him to rush and come and help. It was late in the evening. It was around 8, 9 there when all that cavuyo was going on. I look back at that and I know that it affected my children to a great extent because they were seeing their father doing things to their mother. Some of that I don't want to talk about
Yes, I
because
understand.
of where we are and who he is and who I am, but it wasn't nice. It was a terrible, terrible breakup, which I believe affected me even much later. So my cousin came. He was staying in Kasangat. He drove. I don't know where my sister was, but she wasn't available, so she called my cousin who drove and came. And they opened for him. He sat in the sitting room. I don't remember who came to call me. It's like, okay, he has come, because now I know I'm safe. I'm able to come out of the room. I came, I greeted him, said, go and pack your things. I packed my suitcase, put in his vehicle.
And left.
And left. And I've never gone back since then. Yeah.
So that was like a really, like you said, a violent ending.
It was a violent.
There was no coming back after that.
No, it was a violent ending to a marriage that has been turbulent.
Yes.
All through. I don't. Well, the first years, the first some years were good. But after that, it was downhill, 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 until it culminated in that violent ending. Now I can smile and laugh at it.
Yes.
There's a time when I would talk about it and I would be like, oh, I would be crying all over the place. But healing has happened.
Yes, and that's why we are here.
Yes.
Because a friend of mine one time told me that anytime you talk about something and it brings tears, then you have to go back and ask why.
Why are you still crying?
Yes,
about
and then you
that?
have to put in the work to deal with that. And I can say that I'm the kind of person who, if I was having this conversation about 2 years ago, we would probably have been holding from the beginning.
Me too.
Yes, yes, I understand that greatly. Yeah, I understand that. And I feel like one of the roles we have, even with the gift God has given us as teachers, and as older women to now, I can't imagine I'm also calling myself
The older
one of
woman.
the-
I am the older one, you're the younger one. Yeah.
but there are younger ones after us. So,
Yes.
So I feel like one of the things that we owe to the younger generation is to be able to share these moments and the progress that we have made, in spite of the fact that we are still on a journey. Yeah, we owe it to them, because gone are the days when keeping these things secret and guarded
Bottled
and taboo
up
and bottled up was useful. Actually, it was not even
It
useful.
wasn't useful. It hurt
not.
us.
Yes.
It hurt us a lot. And we don't want the same thing happening to those who are coming after us. They need to know that there is a process of healing. I remember after that violent ending, I got somewhere. After being with my sister for some time, I eventually came to Makindye, where you also came to stay. I remember I would come, there was so much pain. I would come and sit at my dining table and I would be crying. I would be singing certain songs. There's this song, even in the darkest hours, through the sorrow and the pain, I will sing. I would be singing those songs and I would be crying, asking God, there was this pain. Yet, to reach there is a journey. I've told you how I went in there not thinking of forever. Even in the marital journey, it's not like I was putting in a lot of effort to keep it together. But when it broke, there is that pain that comes with the breaking.
Yes.
I understand it to stem from the fact that God says the two of you have become one.
One. It's a tearing apart.
It's a tearing apart.
Of one, not even of
yes,
two. It's a tearing
it's
apart.
one person being torn into.
Yes.
So there is a lot of pain. There's a lot of woundedness. There is a lot of blood pouring out there. And whoever is going through that needs to realize that and give it time. You will not be torn apart like that and you bounce there and you're like,
Yes.
oh, good. I got out of this marriage. Oh, hallelujah, Hosanna. It doesn't happen like that. Whoever is behaving like that, it's like
They are covering something up. And interestingly, there is a global trend of when people are getting a divorce and they get the decree absolute, the final one, that final, declaration. People actually have divorce parties, others have a divorce cake, and I see all these things and I'm like, there is no way.
There is no way. There is
Because
no
of the
way.
amount of pain.
The amount of pain, even when by the time you leave that marriage, you're already like tired, and still the moment it tears, the pain is there, the bleeding is there. And you need to acknowledge it in order for you to heal properly
Yes.
and reach that point of joy.
Okay. So in light of all that, I remember there's a conversation we've had before when I was a bit younger, one of those times at home where you were telling me some of the things you could have done better. And I think it's very important that we, first of all, much as we may face things in marriage that may be influenced by our partners, there is a place where we have to take responsibility for ourselves, because that union cannot be broken by just one person.
No.
And I was telling you that for me, it was my responses to whatever was being thrown at us together and some of the things that were coming at me. My responses escalated things instead of sort of calming them down. And there's a place where we can learn to be emotionally regulated. And I was not emotionally regulated at all. And it has taken time for me to get to a place where I have to understand that life is not ruled by my emotions. And so what do you think you could have done better?
A number of things. My attitude, first of all, I should have gone in knowing that I'm going in for the forever part. And I should have walked in a way that shows that I've come into this marriage, I've come to stay. Instead of coming with one eye looking at the door like, you guy, anytime, me, I'm out of here. So the attitude matters a lot. And then also, I had lost my Christian faith by the time I got married. When we rely on God, when we cry to Him, when we take our pains and our burdens to Him, He says, "Come unto me, all who
Are heavy laden
and
and burdened, and I'll give you rest."
If I had that Christian grounding, I would have been, my responses would have been different. I think also my responses to Him as a man in the home.
Yes.
You know, God created us differently. There is the male role and there is the female role. I needed to respect Him. I needed to give Him that chitiwa of He is the head of the home. He is the head. He's the representative of Christ in the home. I don't think I did that. I had this independent streak within me, which isn't good for marriage.
Yes.
Because in marriage, you depend on each other much as you depend on God. It's a two-way relationship.
And when you talk about responses, ideally, if our responses are not good, that is where disrespect often comes in. Because when we are reacting from an emotional place and reacting negatively, we are bound to cross the line.
Yes.
In as far as that is concerned. And yet, it has been said that men receive love primarily through respect, and then other things follow. And for us women, it's through that emotional, what can I call it? Where our emotions are validated, we receive love like that. For them, we have to respect them. And that's why when these two things are in conflict, then disrespect comes in. And then when disrespect comes in, there's a withdrawing of affection. Affection is the word I was looking for. Because we women receive love most times through affection. And so when we respond negatively, we disrespect, and disrespect withdraws affection from us, and then it becomes a whole downward spiral.
Yes.
And when you're talking about that, what I also feel I could have done better is how I responded. And I know that disrespect came in at a certain point because of the tone with which I would say things, how I would, I mean, I may have had a point here and there, but I could have put it across differently.
We know as women how to communicate with our attitude and our faces.
Yes.
You can look at him and you're talking and he's
And
receiving
just,
and he's like, now what's this?
yes. Yes, exactly. And I just want the people who are watching us to understand something. We are not, some of you may be thinking you're going through similar things that we are going through, and or we have gone through, and you're wondering why we are not saying that man did this and he did that and he did this and he did. And much as a lot of breakdown of marriage from your own perspective may come from the things that have been done to you, if you're going to get on a journey of healing, you first have to introspect and look at what you could have done better. And that is why we are talking about that, because it's a very important component. Taking responsibility for what we have done and where we are at, in spite of the fact that things have been thrown at us, is one of the key steps to getting on a journey of healing. And I felt like that is very, very important for us to emphasize. And you mentioned that your Christian journey had been compromised at a certain point. And that brings us to the spiritual aspect of divorce, separation, and the breakdown of marriages. And we've also mentioned how it's been questionable what the church has done to help these situations, especially in preparation, but also when people are going through the situation and the church is like, some of them, try, but most times the church is like that. But do you think that this situation changed the way you view God?
Yes. It's it reminds me of Romans 8, is it 28? Where God works out for good.
Everything,
Ev-
all things.
All things. All things. So I've seen the hand of God through the pain, through the trauma, up to the joy moments. I've seen the hand of God. And I've come to realize that God uses those painful episodes, those painful moments to draw us back to Him. In my pain, in my crying, in my all that, at first I ran away from God. Out of my marriage, I continued to run away from God, but He brought some beautiful angels to me to talk to me, to bring me back into His fold. And I appreciate that greatly. So through these experiences, I've learned to look more to Him, especially considering that the human beings then didn't do much for me. So now my only hope was to look to God. And because I did that, He started bringing the healing into my heart.
Do you think that if all this had not happened, you would have been drawn back to God?
God has a way of drawing you back using different circumstances. But in my own human wisdom, I don't think if I had remained in that marriage, I would be where I am today. I have a feeling I would be a very different person. And probably not as joyful, not as fulfilled, not as purposeful as I am. Yeah, so the breakage, the going away opened other avenues for God to find me and to affirm me and to grow me and to heal me in a way that wouldn't have happened if I was still there.
Okay.
Because I look at the me now, of how I do my things, what I do, and I'm like, if I was still there, would I be doing this? Would I be standing like this? Would I be saying this? And the answer is no. So that's the good that came out of it.
And yes, I know you to do ministry, different kinds of ministry. Do you feel like there are parts you lost on that journey, like with the ministries you do even now? Do you think there are aspects that you lost in how you execute now? And maybe I'll explain why I'm saying that. For me, I've always been a part of the worship ministry at the church I go to. And I've even had an opportunity to belong briefly to another church and then come back to the church that I have always belonged to. And marriage, when you lose your marriage, it is considered to be such a great failure. I know they don't use those words, but it is considered to be such a great shame and failure. And I remember, of course, on the journey of having children and all those things, I would be in and out of that particular ministry. It was the worship ministry. I would be in and out of it. And then later, when the kids were a bit grown up, I was more back into it. Then COVID came, and things changed since then. And more recently, I wanted to go back to the worship ministry. And it seemed like I was being given an opportunity to. And when I had prepared myself and said, I'm now ready to come back to the worship ministry, I was told that I could not do frontline ministry. That is what I was told. I was told, because of your situation, you cannot do frontline ministry. And you and I have had this discussion before. I know that churches sometimes have to put certain strict parameters to protect the integrity of what is being done in the ministry, because if they allowed just about anyone to come and stand in front of everyone, there would be a lot to question. But I remember that moment hurting me so much, because I have felt like that is a place I am called to. I'm a super, like I've said, I'm a super creative, and I felt like I was called to, I felt like I was called to be in that sort of ministry. And it doesn't mean I don't do other things, because like I've told you, I minister to teenage girls. I do so many other things, but for me to be up there as part of those supporting and helping others come to worship God, especially through music, that was such a big deal to me. And I feel like I lost that because of the situation that I am in. And that's why I'm asking you if you feel like you lost something when it comes to ministry, but also even not just asking you that, but what are your thoughts on that sort of thing?
I feel the church, the body of Christ, is losing out. We tend to hate the sinner instead of hating the sin. God says, I hate divorce. He doesn't say I hate the divorced person. And yet the church tends to hate the divorced person.
Yes.
Tends to hate the separated person. And yet when you look at the journey of Jesus, very forgiving, very welcoming. He's not saying, you adulterous woman, go away, you can't even stand before me as God. No. So the church has it wrong. Instead of welcoming and encouraging and showing that God heals and restores, they are saying, we, not they, because I'm part of it.
Church,
we
yes.
are saying God heals, but he doesn't quite restore. Because I'm not going to allow you to do what you used to do before you got divorced and separated, which is so sad. It's a sad thing. And church leaders, I'm talking to you now. There is a need to go back to the drawing board and see what is God's heart in this matter. God welcomes back. He restored Peter. And he put him to lead, to head the whole troop.
Yes.
He would have said, Peter, now because you did A, B, C, D, I'm now going to put John So you go behind the scenes and support John. That's not how God does his things.
He upheld the purpose and calling he had put upon this life,
Yes.
no matter what. And I think what I would feel the church should have done instead in some of these circumstances is give an opportunity to people to openly say where they're at. Like if I am a minister, create avenues where it is clear that that is the situation I am in, so that it's not a hidden thing.
Yes.
Let it not be hidden. Let everyone know
No.
it. And then when I stand up there to do whatever I'm doing, it's not that I am secretly hiding,
No.
that I failed
No.
in marriage. Everyone knows it.
And they are saying,
yes,
see what God has done.
yes, he has healed her, he has given her joy, he has done this, and let that be the example. So that people, because that means we've had, when we were growing up, some of our friends would fall, for lack of a better word, get pregnant and hide
Yes.
and disappear forever
Yes.
from the church.
Because.
Yes, because of those things.
Yes.
And so I've found that that is such a great loss.
It is a great loss. I remember an experience like that. It wasn't about me, it was about a friend. We were doing a certain program and we needed somebody to come in and talk about family. And we proposed a certain name. One of my friends, a lady friend, who was separated from her husband. And the reaction of some of the men was, but she's separated. There is the role of the church in helping us to recover, in helping us to get healing. When somebody has gone through divorce, they are bleeding, they are paining, there is something going on in their life. And then they go through healing and they get to that point where they think they can come back to serve. They can come back to share their lives. They can come back to minister in such a way that other people can learn from them. We have this thing in the church where when you are divorced, you're looked at as a pariah. You're looked at as a failure. You are looked at as something that should not be allowed to stand in front of the congregation, which is very, very wrong. The church needs to embrace people who have gone through trauma, who are seeking healing, or those who have even already recovered and are ready to go into ministry. Because we see that God forgives and God restores. God welcomes back sinners who have repented. He even welcomes sinners who have not yet repented. But when it comes to ministry, as long as that person has healed or is in the process of healing and is able to share their lives, to touch other people's lives and bring them to the point where they are, they should be welcomed. They should be enabled and supported to minister as Christians in their congregation. Yes, she is. What has that got to do with anything?
She knows what we need her to talk about.
She knows about family. She has the negative and the positive. She knows where not to go. And so there is this thing that comes in. It used to disturb me. It no longer does. God dealt with God dealt with it. I found myself, interestingly, being positioned where in my cultural thinking I shouldn't be. I would be called to come and speak to people, to young girls about marriage. I'm like, okay. But I know that there is always a story behind somebody. So God used those moments, I think, to heal me, to bring back my...
Because who has better advice for anyone than someone whose marriage has broken?
Yes.
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 Someone who has been, their marriage has broken. They have gone on a redemptive journey with the Lord. He has healed them. He is still healing them. Who better to talk to a young girl about marriage? Honestly.
That's the right person.
Yes.
And I would find people coming to me, women coming to me to talk to me about the problems they were going through, and I was saying, Naim, come on. I'm here, but you're sending me people to talk to them about marriage. You're sending me young girls to counsel. That was a season, I think, that God was using to position me, to bring me up from where I was hiding, saying, yeah, you are still my minister, you're still my daughter.
And I've had those experiences too, where like I've said, I speak to young girls. I speak to teenagers, but I also speak to young ladies. And I'm able to tell them openly, I did this wrong.
Yes.
I did this right. This was thrown at me, and this is how I dealt with it. I'm able to do that. And I believe that so many people who are going through this are able to do that as well. So when we talk about the church, of course, we are talking about community. And yes, the church is community, but we also have a bigger, wider community outside that. We have family, we have friends, we have all these people. And you've also mentioned how there are moments when you thought maybe someone would have helped or supported, and they did not. So did people disappear?
Yeah, people tend to disappear when you're in that kind of situation. Many, actually, many that you are relating with, that we are visiting you in your home, and you were visiting, they were inviting you to their parties, to their weddings, it suddenly stops. And you're like, now what? Did that relationship end with this relationship? And I remember one time I reached out to somebody. I thought she was my friend, but she's on my ex-husband's part of the family.
Okay.
So I called her. There's something I wanted to discuss with her to help me with the children. And she was like, tell me from here,
On
what is
phone.
it? What is it you want to speak about? So she didn't want to come to meet me. Maybe she thought,
Maybe rumors or like someone would tell on her, and she
yes,
didn't want to
that's
seem like she was on your side.
on my side. She was like, you first explain what it is you want to talk about, then I'll see whether to come or not. Nembita. I just so people, yes, people disappeared. But those who were true friends, they remained with me.
And in that disappearing, are there things people said that hurt you? I know they're probably there, but what are some of those things that people said that stayed with you for a while?
What affected me most was especially in weddings and church services and receptions. People tend to say words that kind of imply if you've failed in your marriage, there is something wrong with you.
With you, yes.
And you start asking yourself now, what is wrong with me? They talk in, I don't remember the exact words, but they give speeches, they talk in such a manner that shows that those who have failed marriages, there's something wrong, they need to go away.
Yes.
So people need to be aware, even as they make those speeches, that the people they are talking to in that congregation, in that reception hall, there are many whose marriages are broken.
Yes.
And they are still people, and they still need to be loved and accepted. And some even say, in our family, such a thing as broken marriages, it's not there, and you're from that family.
And you're like, thinking, okay, so I'm not a person anymore in this family.
so where did I come from? I belong here. And my marriage is very, very broken.
Never.
Tetunova. We don't go away. We don't have broken marriages. And you're like, okay.
I was told was that now I would no longer have the status, I would no longer make sense in society. Someone told me that to my face. Like,
really?
Yeah, like you've had the covering, the protection of being a married woman. Now what are you going to be?
Okay.
Yes, like what are you going to be? What do you have to bring to the
Like,
table when your status has
gives you
your status has, plummeted down? So what do you mean? What are you going to present to us if you're no longer a married woman? you no longer have anything of value to say in society. And that happens a lot, and so many women are...
It does, for women.
Yeah, so many women are dealing with that and carrying it as baggage. But this healing journey, and the fact that it's God who takes us on and he redeems us, and then he esteems us as his precious daughters. And it takes me to my favorite scripture, which is Psalm 45 verse 13, which says, "All glorious is the princess in her father's house. Her robes are interwoven with gold." That every time I think of moments where even the scripture in David said, "Why are you downcast, O my soul? My soul find refuge, in God, in Christ." And when I think of those scriptures, immediately I just go back to that place of saying, okay, I am his beloved daughter, and what he thinks of me and how he views me is more important than what anyone else could ever say. Yeah. As we move closer to the end of our conversation, I've been thinking about the generational aspect of marriage. Beautiful marriages have been passed down from generation to generation, but no one talks about if bad marriages have also been passed down from generation to generation. I believe that with the Kuguma gospel, it's like the trophy of carrying a bad marriage was being handed down from the women who had kugumad through all sorts of things to the next generation that was being told to kuguma. And then came my generation, which has a few of us going like, what do you mean? What did you pass down to us that you're telling us to carry in all its heaviness? So do you think there is a real generational question to answer when it comes to broken marriages? Have broken marriages been passed down from generation to generation?
It's a yes and no answer. We've talked about we grow up hearing our mothers, our grandmothers, our singers telling us, you go in there. It's like you're going to battle. It's like you're going to war. Prepare, tie your belt tightly and guma, nwera. That's not what marriage is about. And yet it's a thing that has moved from generation to generation, that is told to women. That you go there with like over a shield, over armor, over what? Because what you're going there to face
is hard
it's
and
tough
brutal
and painful and it's brutal. So we go in there knowing marriage is like that. And we pass it on to our children and to our children's children. They also go in knowing, as a woman, I'm going into marriage to face tough times. And that's not what marriage is about. That's where the no comes from. When you look into the biblical perspective,
yes,
it is support, it is love, it is respect, it is being there for one another, it's communion. Yes, where there are relationships, sometimes there is friction, but how you handle that friction matters. It's not war, and no, it's friendship, it's love, it's union. So even as we understand marriage better and as we understand God's intention better, we also start a new generational thing.
Okay.
Talking to girls about what actual marriage is about, what love is about, what respect and submission means in marriage. So that has already started, and we can cement it and have it continue downwards so that it can negate the other Guma battle gospel.
And interestingly, the word of God talks about it in Titus, about the older women teaching the younger women.
Yes.
And it has not been happening because I think it's such a responsibility. It's such a beautifully heavy thing to be able to take it upon yourself to actually do that, to teach the younger ones, because then it means they're going to keep coming back to you for reference.
Yes.
And I think for many of us, we feel like that is a lot of work.
We feel that is a lot of work. Probably we feel our culture doesn't open us up to it. probably we feel it's not our responsibility to do that. Their parents should have done that for them. But there is a reason why these departments or institutions, I don't know what to call them, within church exist. We have Mothers Union in the Anglican Church. We have Sisterhood, is it, in Watoto. We have such things. What is their role in this kind of thing? I remember I was recruited into Mothers Union, and I think I attended only one or two of their meetings. Because each time I went there, they would be talking about sex, about how to kuweweta your man. It's like that is all you're talking about. Is that what motherhood is all about?
And marriage, yeah.
I didn't see anything like, let's plan and meet these young girls and talk to them about this and talk to them. Nothing like that. And yet I believe that's what they are.
Do you think it's doing better now? Because I feel like the younger women, okay, my generation are now in Mothers Union.
What are you doing there?
Me, I'm not in Mothers Union, so I'm not going to lie. At least I'm in Sisterhood. I need to
What
be
are
more
you
active.
doing in Sisterhood? Are you looking at supporting those who haven't entered the marriage union to prepare them, and those who are in there to help them concretize and to handle problems better? Are you doing
I
that?
think I'll say that I have felt that I could not do those things because I felt I was being looked at as someone who is ruined
Failed.
and failed and shameful. That, I mean, one of those days I was asked to do something which would have required me going to hold a mic and all that. But I felt like because I had been told I could not do frontline ministry, it meant that I could not even stand up there at any given point to even hold a mic or anything like that, because I'm probably tainting the picture. And I'm not saying that everyone believes that, but there's got to be, in our churches, there's got to be a time when elders and people going through these things actually sit down and talk about them.
Intentional.
Yes, very intentional.
I know that when young girls are getting ready to step into marriage, there is this talk that the sengas or the parents give them. We are told, you go in, ogume. It's like, go in and be tough. Go in and wear your shield, wear your armor. It's as if you're going into battle. And that's not how it should be. We should not be training our daughters, our children, to view marriage as something they are going into kuguma for. We should talk to them of the marriage that God intended to be, where two people come together, they love each other, they support each other. When things are tough on one side, the other caring side is there to support. It's not about fighting. It's not about kugumaring. It's about loving and supporting each other. And when things get tough, because women have been told to kuguma, to go in and toughen up, we tend to remain there even in situations where we should not be remaining there. When we know that things have reached the end and we should be laying down our tools and going out so that we can heal and recover. So the Kuguma gospel has to be given context and has to be softened in such a way that the women who are going in for marriage understand what marriage is all about. It's not about fighting, it's not about battle, it's not about toughening, but it's about living together as two loving people that understand each other.
And there's a beautiful ministry I've heard of, and I've mentioned it to my pastors, that's called Divorce Care. It's an international ministry. And they look for churches where they can plant chapters, sort of similar to what Rotary would do, but they've taken that model.
It's a beautiful thing.
And they want to go to different churches and plant. And I remember a friend, I did a master's in contextualized pastoral ministry, and I was studying with bishops, reverends, pastors, and one of them actually heads the Divorce Care chapter in Uganda. And he didn't know what was going on in my life, but he came to me saying, can you check, can you ask and see if your church can take on a chapter of divorce care to help people? So we need ministries like that.
Yes, we do.
To come into our churches and help people. And so in line with everything that we have talked about today, what has healing looked like for you on a day-to-day basis?
Healing has looked like accepting that things have happened, that I don't need to reside in the past, that I need to let go, but not let go of the lessons. Pick my lessons and walk with them. And intentionally not dwell there, but look at where I am today and plan for the future. Healing has looked like accepting the support that comes from my friends, interacting, listening to them, welcoming the joy of salvation, and moving forward. Healing has looked like understanding my purpose for existence, understanding that God created me for a certain thing, and moving into it and purposefully being who God created me to be. I find joy in that. Yes.
That's amazing. I had a moment last year when I woke up one day and started looking around and going like, I'm actually okay. It was it was a light bulb moment. It was, I don't know, it was so many things, but I remember smiling that day and thinking, there are people who have been living like this every day. And that was such a moment for me. And so for me, healing has looked like waking up every day and going like, I'm actually okay. And God loves me and I'm going to have a beautiful day. And he has begun to open up opportunities for me to do the things he called me to do. Like he says in Ephesians 2:10, that we are his masterpiece. And he has created an opportunity for us to do the things he intended for us to do long ago. And I felt like I had come to a place where I could not even do any of those things. So for me to be able to wake up every day and say, oh, Karen, God's masterpiece, you're awake today.
Yes,
And
you're good.
You're good.
And God is singing over you.
Amen. And singing over me songs
Yes.
of deliverance and joy. And that is what healing looks like for me every day.
Amen.
It looks like looking at my children who I thought that this whole experience was going to totally tear them down. And that's not to say there haven't been effects, but they're happy. And the sad thing about, okay, they are happy, which I am grateful to God for. But it is very sad that one of the things that has also helped is that broken marriages are the new normal. Our kids have many friends who are living in two
The
households.
same thing.
Living in two households, so it's normal. So for them, for many of them, when they're talking, I was at dad's house the other day, I was at mom's house, and everyone
So it
is
has
happy.
become normal.
Yeah, and that's a sad thing, but I'm still grateful to God that my children are more okay than they were when they were living in what to me was a toxic situation created by the pain that two broken people were experiencing and inflicting on each other. I feel like I'm so blessed by this conversation, especially because I've been longing to share. I know that my journey is not yet at a more complete version like you, in as far as navigating what this whole separation and divorce thing can look like. And I remember one time in therapy, I was talking to my therapist, who is a very good Christian doctor, and he kept asking me about the possibility of reconciliation and not allowing there to be finality because it would compromise that. And I told him that so many people have divorced and still gotten back together. Those same people have divorced and still gotten back together. And I remember him having what seemed like a sigh of relief, because in his heart of hearts, he still felt like maybe there was room for that. And I'm still at a part of my journey where I have certain convictions and conclusions in as far as that is concerned. And today is not the time to talk about that. But when I look at that, I want to ask, can a woman believe in love after heartbreak, after this type of heartbreak?
Love is eternal. Love is God. God is love. As women, we shouldn't look for our love in a man. The man is the channel through which God's love is supposed to flow. Some channels are blocked, some are open.
Yeah.
So, yes, we should believe in love, knowing that love is not about how I relate with my husband. Knowing that love is not that feeling, that heartbeat. Knowing that love is intentional. Deciding that I am going to love. And how do I love? By action.
Yes.
By showing. By the way I talk to you. By the things that I do for you. So yes, for a woman who has faced that kind of heartbreak, that pain, that tearing, we intentionally say we are love because God's love and we are part of Him. He has breathed Himself into us.
Yes.
So we are going to love. Even if we are not loved back, we are going to love because it's who God is and what He desires of us. And once we are in that state, the love of God continues to flow in us and it will come back to us.
Amen.
Yeah.
So I guess when someone is listening to that, they're going to say, yes, we've understood the God's love. But what they want to know is if they should try again. And for many of us, it's a very scary concept to imagine. And with the dating culture now and how people look at relationships and how we have the phones, we have the social media, we have all these things, I know there's a woman out there who wants to know if she should try. I've often felt like it would be a lot of work.
Loving somebody is a lot of work. I joke with one of my friends and say that if my ex-husband related with me now, it would be a different story. Once you've been through that, you've learned your lessons. You understand how to love better. You know what not to do. You know what not to expect. You know what is expected of you, what to give. So I believe the second chance may be even better than the first chance that you got because you've learned your lessons and you're at a better place. You're a better woman. You have grown. You're full of joy. You're not leaning on the man for your joy. You're looking at life differently. You're looking at marriage differently. So yes, they should take the step as long as it is rooted in the Bible. As long as the Bible accepts that. Because I don't know if you're talking about remarriage or if you're talking about healing and going back to the same man.
I'm not talking about going back to the same man necessarily because I know that there are so many people who have been in, for example, extremely abusive situations that we wouldn't be saying that to them. But I know that there are also points of contention. Many people have discussed with the Word of God about remarriage, about, for example, the reasons for divorce and things like that. But what I've heard you say is that there is hope.
Yes, there is hope.
There is hope, first of all, that is rooted in understanding that our true love, our one true love is God. But He can also create avenues for second chances.
He does.
For us, and they are likely to be more beautiful than what we experienced before.
Exactly.
And so to wrap this up finally, what is that one thing that you want a woman who is watching today to take home from this whole experience that we've had here today?
To understand that The light that shines brightly out of us comes out of heat. In order to shine, you need to experience the heat. To understand that for silver to come out shining, it is first melted and the dross removed. To understand that we go to mountains and valleys, you can't go and stay on top of the mountain forever. You move to the mountain, you move to the valley and back to the mountain. And like that song says, the God of the mountain is still the God who is with you in the valley. When you move into the valley, you don't leave him on the mountain. He goes with you. To understand that the seasons of pain lead you to the seasons of joy. To understand that there is a beautiful thing, that God is the God who takes the ashes and forms beauty out of it.
Yes.
To understand that God says, I will never leave you
Nor forsake.
nor forsake you.
Yes.
He's there and he wants good for us.
Yes.
So to go with that hope, to know that there is joy that comes with the hope.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. And I think what I would say to the lady who is watching us right now, I would say that you will smile again.
Yes.
You may be in a dark place right now, and Auntie Apo has clearly pointed out that that place is not a place where you're going to stay stuck. And so I would like to say you'll smile again.
Yes.
Sometimes I look in the mirror and I can't believe the person some years back.
Yes.
Where you had to fetch that smile from I don't even know where. So for me, it's just that you will smile again and you are loved. You are dearly loved by our Father and you are his beloved daughter.
Yes.
And right now your situation may make you feel and look like you're wearing tatters, like your heart is in shreds. But all glorious are you, his glorious princess. And your robes are interwoven with gold, even if you may not see it now.
Yes.
You will smile again.
Yes.
Bless you. This has been God's Healed Girls. Thank you, Auntie Apple, for being with us today.
Such a pleasure.
I'm so happy we've walked this journey of life for so many years together, and I'm just happy that people get to experience what I have been experiencing.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
God is going to heal so many who have listened to us today, and this is just the beginning.
Amen.
Yeah. That has been our first episode of God's Healed Girls, and what an experience it has been. I'd just like to take this opportunity to say thank you to a couple of people who have supported this journey, and I am so blessed that I get to step into this with all of you. Special thanks to Diana Sekaja and Denise Njama and another friend of mine who prefers to stay anonymous for making sure that this experience comes to you. Without you, we wouldn't be able to have this. In case you'd like to support us, we are so excited and we welcome anyone who would like to join us on this journey. Please reach out to the number on your screen, and I look forward to having yet another amazing experience with you here on God's Healed Girls next week. Bless you.